She's so darn cute. She's a cute mess. She's a cute mess.
She is a cute mess. She's been playing in snow and driving me crazy, but that is dogs for you. But anyway, so yes, so we will record this session just so that you have the next the series of this, because kind of what I thought I would do is um for review and also for introduction, I just wanted to give you guys key points and remind you of key points that you can implement every single day and really sort of, how should I say this? I want you guys to see the effects of incorporating gratitude into your daily life faster, right? Because you can. And I actually learned that from working with some of you, which is why I thought, you know what? Because I've learned things and you guys have learned things, let's capitalize on that. Right? So uh kind of what I wanted to remind you of, and I know some of you are experiencing this already, is when it comes to anything that we do creatively, whether that is something artistic, whether that is in sales and marketing, what I have discovered over the years, primarily in selling, that I've noticed, is the fastest way to sell is to have that foundation piece, which I always thought was a sales foundation. And it's not to say that sales foundation isn't important. It does play a key element. But if you are looking at like the building of a house, for example, right? Like, so let's use a house analogy. Gratitude is that concrete base that you built, that is solid, that you build everything on. The sales foundation is kind of like the weather stripping and the membrane that you install in a house before you build everything else. So it adds to that foundation piece, but it can't be added without the initial foundation. So that's the difference. It is part of a foundation, but not the main foundation you need. And the reason I know this is because I tried to build a sales foundation without the gratitude piece. And it wasn't to say I didn't find success. It took a heck of a lot out of me. It was exhausting, y'all. It was exhausting because I kind of felt like I was on a hamster wheel because every time I would complete a sale, I had to go back and build a foundation again. And it's just like, what the heck? This is la. I don't know if I like this. I don't think I want to do this anymore. But then when I figured out if I have a gratitude foundation first and then add, it's different. It's different. Because if any of you have felt pure joy, like the kind of joy that, little kids feel on Christmas when they discover Santa Claus and they go barreling down the stairs Christmas morning, when you feel that kind of joy, you also know that gives you a lot of energy to do a lot of things beyond just opening all the presents from Santa Claus, right? So, how do you create that? It is not something that happens overnight, okay? And the other thing that you should know, even though you hear out there gratitude practice, right? And habits, positivity habits, habits only take you so far because you can change habits and you can end habits. So here is a little secret I'm going to share. If you really are serious about building this foundation, you have to go beyond habits. It has to become a part of who you are, because if you want a real foundation, it has to become a part of you, just like a house, right? A house cannot exist without a foundation. It is what makes a house. It's not a habit, right? Because when that foundation is gone, what happens to the house? No more house, right? So what I am going to teach you is habit forming, yes, but I want you to go beyond just building a habit. Make it a part of who you are, because it will make all the difference, right? So now, for those of you who've been with me a while, you all know where we start. It's something very, very simple that you can implement, okay? So for those of you who are new here, where we start is just a very simple list. I'm not going to ask you to write a gratitude journal. If you want to do that, you are welcome to do that. But where we're going to start is just a simple list. It's a list of 10 things every single day, right? You write a list of 10 things that you are grateful for. And you're going to do this, preferably, it'll be the first thing you do when you wake up. Okay, and there's a reason behind this. The reason that you want to start your gratitude practice of writing 10 things down at the beginning of your day is for this part. You want to shift your brain, right? Because when you start your day with gratitude, your brain is going to try and stay there, which is what you want. Okay. And the key to this gratitude practice is when you write the 10 things in the morning, the next day, you're going to write 10 different things. So every day, you're going to create a list of 10 things that are different. You don't want to write the same things twice. And here's why. Because initially, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard. And the purpose of this is for you to dig deep to find the things that you may be taking for granted and have gratitude for that. Things like drinking water. We have running water in North America. That is clean. You don't get that everywhere. We may take that for granted, right? We have washing machines, right? We have laundromats where we can go to clean clothes easily. There are some places those don't exist yet, or they're very expensive to access, right? Refrigerators. You go back 100 years, this is a luxury item, right? So I want you to start digging deeper and deeper as each day passes to figure out what it is you're grateful for. Okay. Now you're going to do that for the first 30 days. You're going to create a list of 10 things every day for the first 30 days. After the 30 days, we're going to change it up a bit, right? So 5 of those things on your list of 10 are just going to be generic things that you're grateful for. But the other 5 are going to be 5 things that you are grateful for about yourself. And that's going to get a little bit tougher because in order to do that and to come up with 5 new things every single day as you go along, it is an exercise of self-discovery. It is also going to require you to dig so deep. Those skeletons in your closet that you have been pushing to the very, very back, they all got to come out. They all got to come out. And it's not going to be fun, but it will become fun when you find the gratitude piece attached to that. Okay. So this is not an exercise for everyone because it does take a certain level of courage to do this. But I promise you, you find that courage and you choose to do the gratitude practice for yourself too. The other side of that is something most adults never find. They talk about it, they dream about it, they don't actually achieve it. You, if you choose to take on this challenge, you're going to get there. You're going to get there. And I promise you, when you get there, it is beyond magic. And here's why. When we were first born, we had all of that. We thought we were pretty freaking awesome, right? We thought the world was awesome. It was a wondrous place, right? That's why we were like touching things and putting things into our mouth we really shouldn't have, but it was magical. And then somewhere along the way, we lost that, right? Because, you know, maybe our parents or our teachers are like, yeah, you know what, Vanessa, don't put that in your mouth. That's not going to taste very good. Or Kenzie, that is poison ivy. Don't touch that, right? And so along the way in our learning, we learn to be fearful of things. And rightly so, because really, Kenzie, you should not touch poison ivy. And Vanessa, you really probably shouldn't put, shit in your mouth. That would be bad, right? But there are things that we can touch, we can put in our mouths, right? So what I'm inviting you to do is with the wisdom that you have gained in your years of life, add that to that wonder, right? And see the magic that unfolds. Because here's the thing about gratitude, right? This exercise that I'm talking about, the list of 10, I usually tell my students to do it for 90 days. Okay. Most don't make it, by the way. But if you do it for 90 days, just writing that list every morning, it will start to become a habit for you. But as most of you know who started with me in June, I challenged you to do it to the end of the year. Why did I do that? Because at 180 days, it starts to stop being just a habit. It starts to become a part of who you are. And believe me when I say you want that, because it will change you. It will change you in the most incredible way. Now, I'm sure that you guys in your lives have encountered people that, I don't know, there's just something about them that draws you in. That every time you're in their presence, they make you feel warm and fuzzy, right? They make you feel good. And it's almost like when you look at them, they look like they're just like shining this aura, right? Of warmth and love and all good things. And you just feel like, I want a piece of that. You've probably met people like that. And you're like, I don't know what it is about them, but they're just, I don't know. They're magic, right? Like if you've ever met Dolly Parton, you get that vibe, right? If you've ever met the Dalai Lama, you get that vibe. And you're like, why? Why do I know just from a feel that they're in the room with me? Because I don't know, I just feel that energy. Well, that's because these are people who live gratitude. It's a part of who they are. They have the foundation. And they have it at such a high level that you can feel that. They expend that. And so when you make the choice to make gratitude truly your foundation piece and a part of who you are, you will have that too. You will become attractive to people. People are going to want to be in your energy because it just, without you saying anything, it feels good to be in that. And here's the other thing I'm going to let you know. Once you have that foundation, once you build it, it can't be taken from you. Yeah, life might strike you down and it might get really tough sometimes after you've built this foundation. And maybe when you're going through those tough times, you might not glimmer quite as much, but I promise you, you cannot break that foundation. Because in spite of all the hard stuff you might go through, that'll still be there. You'll still, in spite of all the crap you're going through, you will find things to be grateful for. You will find joy because you made it a part of who you are. And so what that means is that when times get really, really hard and depression tries to rear its ugly head, it can't take you down because it's hard to be depressed when you're grateful. Because you've now trained yourself to look for moments of gratitude in your day. You have trained yourself to change your perception on things, right? And that, my friends, makes all the difference because, okay, let me show you something. This is my coffee mug, right? Now, where you guys are viewing it from, if you look inside my mug, you see that paw print, right? That is your perception of my coffee mug. But if I flip this around, you can now see my perception of the coffee mug. There's no paw print. Paw print only exists on your side. So even though we're looking at the same coffee mug, what we're seeing is different. And that is a key to gratitude. So where we're going to start, why the 10 things is the starting point. I want you to be grateful for what you see from where you are. And as the days pass, you're going to slowly become grateful for the entire mug from all sides. That's what you're growing into, right? Because what's going to happen as you travel down this path, things that upset you, things that frustrate you, you're going to learn how to handle those situations from a foundation of gratitude so it doesn't frustrate you to the degree it once did, so it doesn't upset you to the point it once did. It's going to guide you in handling the different emotions that you feel from day to day, from the foundation of gratitude, right? Because if you let this touch every aspect of your life, there is nothing you won't be able to face. It's crazy to think, but it is so true, right? And yeah, maybe like someone once asked me, is it rooted in the philosophy of everything happens for a reason. Maybe for some people. Maybe for some people. But for myself, in terms of my philosophy on life, I'm not so sure if I agree with the statement, everything happens for a reason. Like there are moments where I was like, yeah, sure. But what I do believe is that everyone happens for a reason. I do believe that we're here right now for a reason. We each serve a purpose and an important one. And that is something to be grateful for. And what you're going to learn from incorporating gratitude in your life is that that purpose isn't singular, right? Your purpose isn't singular. You're not here to just serve one purpose, you know? Like Einstein, Albert Einstein, the theory of relativity, incredible, life-changing. We still talk about E equals MC squared to this day. But that wasn't his only purpose, right? Picasso, brilliant artist. His only purpose wasn't to just create art. He served many purposes. Just like you, your purpose in life is not singular. You serve many purposes to many people and many situations. Granted, sometimes you may only serve a singular purpose to one person, but that's not the end, right? What I mean by that is, for example, you might be, I don't know, entering into a building and you hold the door open for a delivery driver. That may be the only time you meet that delivery driver, but you served a purpose, right? Because I bet you that delivery driver with his hands full is like, oh my God, thank you so much, Terry. I could not have figured out how to open that door with all of this stuff in my arms, right? And I bet you that delivery driver will be grateful to you. However, when it comes to your closest friends, your closest family members, I bet you serve multiple purposes, right? Like, for example, my niece, I serve multiple purposes for her, right? When she's having a rough day, one of her favorite things in the world is caramel popcorn, right? And when it's really hard, she'll reach out to me and she'll say, Annie, Tommy, can you make me some caramel popcorn? Of course. And so I serve a purpose of making caramel popcorn for her. I'm the caramel popcorn maker. But the other day, she wasn't feeling very good. Like she really wasn't feeling good. It was stupid early in the morning. The sun hadn't even risen yet. And she needed help. She needed to get to a hospital. Who was she going to call? She knew her mom and dad weren't going to be up because they work late. So they don't usually get up until close to noon. Her little brother doesn't drive, right? My parents don't drive in the dark. Her other grandma lives like 6-hour drive away. And my other brother is another one who's a night owl. But she knows I am somebody she can call anytime. I will be there. Right? And I got her to where she needs to be to get the help she needed to feel better. I served a purpose. Just like all of you. Right? You may feel that some of the things that you do from day to day are insignificant. So you held a door open for someone. Big deal. But you don't know what is going on in the life of the person you helped. Maybe it was no big deal, right? Maybe they're like, oh, because Terry opened the door for me, I didn't have to set down this package to open the door and then try to wriggle my way through to deliver this package. But it could have been more than that. Could have been much more than that, right? Because what if this guy whose door you held open for him was going through stuff, right? And coming up to a building with packages in his arms and realizing, this building doesn't have one of those handy buttons that I can push so that the door will open automatically for me. How the heck am I going to do this? This just ruined my day. This is just another nail in my coffin, right? And then you just magically appeared and opened the door to make it a little bit easier. And probably in that moment, that person's like, okay, maybe there is still some good in the world because this person just appeared out of nowhere to make my life just a little bit easier today when I needed them to. Right? Because imagine how differently the day would have played out if you hadn't have been there for this person. You serve a purpose, right? There is a multitude of reasons to be grateful for the things in your life and for the things you offer others in life. And the purpose of a gratitude practice is to not only find those things, but to take a moment to acknowledge those things. Because acknowledging it, that makes all the difference. That's what creates that foundation piece. Because let me tell you, when you have gratitude as a foundation, you not only approach life differently, but because you start to approach life differently, how things unfold around you also changes, right? Cause and effect. And that's what's beautiful. So for those of you who choose to take on this challenge, and I call it a challenge for a reason because it is challenging. Some days it is challenging, you know, especially when you have one of them a-hole bosses who is just out to make your life miserable. And I think all you know what I'm talking about because I'm sure every one of you has had one of those, right? Got that one person who is just out to get you, right? And they make you question life, right? They make you go, what have I got to be grateful for? Right? But when you can move past that, when you can flip the script on that, that, my friend, is true power. I mean, I'm sure that you have seen many a movie, read many a children's book, but it is true when I say the most powerful thing, the most powerful tool in your toolbox every time is love. Love will take anyone down every time. And when you learn how to harness that tool with gratitude, then you've truly found the secret to life. Not everyone makes the decision to do that, because in order to really harness it, guess where the very first place you start is? And some of you not gonna like me for saying it, but it is the truth. If you want to harness the power that love can bring, the very first place to start is with you. You have to love yourself in every aspect, for all the things that you believe makes you great and for all your faults. The things that you don't want to look at, the things that you're like, oh, yeah, no. You got to love yourself for all of that. And it is not something that you just sort of like, okay, I did it, moving on. No, it is something that you are going to be working on for the rest of your life. You are always going to be challenged, and you got to be okay with that. Right? But in doing so, as you take these steps, it's not that it's going to get easier. It's like a muscle. You learn and you build on it, right? But there is something wonderful about learning to love yourself. There is something magical about being able to face yourself in the mirror and being like, there you are, you awesome person, you. And really feel not just the love, but that gratitude for yourself. When you start getting there, it's pretty amazing. And so over these next 4 weeks, I'm going to give you some tools on how to get on that path. And if you choose, get to that destination. Because I promise you, it is a great place to be. And it's not a place everyone gets to. Because like I said, it requires a lot of digging. It requires a lot of work and reflection. It requires of you things that most people are going to go, I don't want to go there. You got to go there. Right? The first 30 days is going to test you to see if you are cut out to even take this challenge on. Like I said, most people I give this challenge to, they don't even make it through the first 30 days. Because usually at around week 2, they're like, I can't think of anything else to be grateful for. It's too hard, Tomoko. Nah. And they tap out. But if you make it to the 30 days, you got a shot at this. Right? And then the next 30 days, where you're doing half and half, 5 general gratitude pieces and 5 things about yourself. That's when the next round tend to tap out. Because they start to get to a point where they're like, I don't know if I can say that about myself. That makes me feel really uncomfortable. I know other people say this about me. but I don't know if I believe it. So I don't know if I can write this down because I almost feel like I'm lying. Okay. So now you got to face why you feel that way. Because if all these other people are saying this is something great about you and you don't believe it, what's going on there? You got to figure that out. And that can get a little uncomfortable, right? And you might also hit a point where it's like, I've run out of nice things to say about myself. Maybe I'm not that great. And then you start getting into your head. Maybe I'm not as wonderful as I'd like to be. Maybe I'm not worthy of this. Maybe I'm the exception and I'm not as great as everyone else. And you start to tear yourself down. You got to work past that because you're wrong. If you do the deep dive into yourself, you're going to find out very quickly you're wrong. You're worthy of all the gratitude. You're worthy of all the love. You just have to find it. And that journey is different for each person. But you got to fight for you. You got to find it. Right? And then you're going to get better at doing that. But we're going to walk through the different steps, right, of how to actually accomplish that. So today is about getting started. And for those of you who are either, getting to the tail end of your 180-day practice, right? And you're wondering, okay, well, what do I do once that ends? Where do I go from here? We can talk about that as well. But the goal of this is to get it beyond just a habit where you're having to make it a point, get up every day, write your list of 10. The goal is to eventually get to a point where you don't physically need to write it down because it's just a part of who you are. And every day as you move through your day, you have more than 10 things to be grateful for. You just see it around you. It's like you're a kid again. And you're like, I'm grateful for that white stuff out there that I just discovered is called snow. I'm grateful for hot chocolate that has marshmallows. I'm grateful for a warm bath. I'm grateful for my comfy bed. I'm grateful for my comfy grown-up bed. I'm grateful for scrambled eggs because they look kind of funny. You're going to see it everywhere because now it's just who you are, right? That's what I want you to work towards because when it becomes who you are, you have officially built a foundation on which you can build anything on. And because you've built that foundation, that feeling you used to get before was like, oh, it feels a little shaky and unstable and I don't like it. Gone. Because even when life throws things at you and you're like, when you have that foundation, you're not going to rock. You're going to stay solid. And that's a good feeling. That is a very good feeling. Okay. So I'm going to, for those of you who don't have my template for creating the list of 10, I will send that out to you so you can utilize that. You can create your own, right? Like you can get like a notebook to write things down on if you want. But you do want to have somewhere where you can track that list because the whole point of this list is on days where you're struggling in the middle of your day and you're like, oh, my life sucks. I want you to be able to go back to your list and go, all right, I have a lot to be grateful for. I want it to also act as your tool as you move forward. Okay. So I hope that's helpful. And we'll continue on in the next session.